Hello, in this tutorial we shall learn how to construct electro-pneumatic fluid sim relay circuit. Now the circuit that we're going to construct is a clamp and drill, or a clamp and bend, or a clamp and stamp circuit. So what the whole process is that we want this cylinder here to first of all move, and then the next one will move, and then this would just clamp, and sorry, the first one will move to clamp, the next one will move to bend. After the bending and everything is done, it will move back, and then the clamping one, which is this, will move back. Now let me show you quickly how to configure this cylinder. If you look at it here, I have configured this cylinder, cylinder B, given it cylinder B already. Now cylinders, if they are for example 2 or more, you can name them or identify them as A, B, C, D, and so on. So I've got 2 cylinders here, and I'm going to identify them as cylinder A and cylinder B. So cylinder A will do the clamping, and cylinder B will do the bending, or it will do the stamping or the drilling. Now let me show you, as I've already done the configurations for cylinder B. So let me show you how to do configure the cylinders and identify them. So what you have to do is to double click on it. Okay, so just double click on the cylinder. Now once you have double clicked, now look here, you can see identification here. So that identifies the cylinder as a special one. So just type A here, capital A there, and then come to actuating labels. The actuating labels will show you the sensors that the cylinders will be actuating as it moves from the in stroke to the out stroke position. So what I'm going to do is that I will identify this as S1. That is the initial position when the cylinder is rather in stroke, or the bottom dead center position. And then I will say 0 and 1. What I mean is that when the cylinder had traveled from, let's say, from 0 to 1 millimeter on its outward movement, it should sit on a cam to send a signal to another system, for example the relay. So that is that one. And then I will say the next position that the cylinder should activate a cam or actuate a cam is S2, and that should be almost when it has traveled its maximum travel, or has made its maximum travel, which is 99 to 100. Now if you look at here, the maximum travel is from 0 to 100, and you can position the cylinder anywhere between 0 up to 100. Okay, so this is done. You have configured the labels. You can also do some of the things here in the configure cylinder. You can make some changes. For example, I can take this cushion away. If I just deselect that one, and I'll take that cushion away, but I just want it to stay there as it is for now. Then you will say okay, and you will see that the cylinder is identified as A. Then we've got the travels also identified. If attach the signals S1, S2 to the travels here. And what I mean is, as now cylinder A is here, it's sitting on the cam of the cam is sitting on S1. The cam of the cylinder is sitting on the sensor 1 here. Okay, the position sensor 1. Same applies to this cylinder here. The cam is sitting on the position sensor 3. Okay, so cylinder A has sensors 1 and 2, and cylinder B has sensors 3 and 4. The way I did configure this cylinder A is the same way I did for cylinder B, and that's the same way you have to do. Now I've got this connections here already done to the cylinders, and I hope you already know the basic from my first video. If you look at my first video, the basics of pneumatics or fluid sim, you will find how to do those connections here. Now the cylinder, sorry, this valve I've already configured it, but if you need to configure it, this is how you have to do to configure it. So you double click and then come to configure valve, and then you can choose whichever valve you want. For example, as I've done that, just count, and there is no actuator here or anything to actuate this valve here. Okay, so because I want to operate this valve electrically, I will just pick the solenoid here, and then on the right hand side also I'll pick the solenoid, because this valve needs to be operated electrically rather than pneumatically, and then say okay here. The next bit that I want you to do is that, you know, solenoids are identified as Y, the letter Y. Okay, so if you take your cursor to the solenoid here, just at the edge here, you see it will go green. The same way this side, when I bring the cursor to this node here, it goes green. So when you bring the cursor and the node goes green, double click on it, and then just identify that one as solenoid 1, that is Y1. Do the same to this one, solenoid 2. So just keep that one as Y2. Okay, and it's already done here. So this is Y1, Y2. So solenoid 1, solenoid 2. Solenoids, as I've said, are identified by letter Y. The way I did for this valve 1, the same thing I've done for valve 2. Now I want to identify this valve as valve 1, and this is what I do. You see the identification, I just type capital V1 there and that is identified. That's the same way I did for that. Okay, so now you've got this, you've got the first circuit done, which is pneumatic watt circuit. Okay, and you can operate it you can operate them pneumatically if you have the means to do so. So now just waiting for the system to settle, because it's behaving a bit funny here. So the next bit is to get the electrical circuit done, but I have to wait for the simulation to stop, and it's just okay, good. So now the simulation has stopped. So I can go ahead to do the electrical circuit here. So what you normally have to do is that, let me just get rid of this and quickly I'll show you what you have to do. Okay, so this is relay circuit, sorry, this is relay. Now, you know, and under the pneumatics you will see electrical controls, IEC, and the IEC is for relay circuit construction, and then electrical controls NEMA is for PLC circuit construction. So because this is relay, I'm going to use relay. I'm not going to use what is it called, PLC. So because this is relay, I'm just going to pick this one here, the top one, the IEC. And then what you have to do is to go to the power supply and pick 24 volts. Okay, so pick the 24 volts and just drop it like that, and then pick 0 volts and just drop it. Now the next bit that you need to get is your switches. So go to switches here, and when you go to switches, you go to manually operated. So I need a manually operated switch here. Now the condition is that the condition for the operation of this circuit or this system is that the cylinder A, the cam of the cylinder A must first sit on the sensor 1 S1, and then there should also be a push button here. So when the two are activated, when this cylinder is sitting on S1 and the push button is pressed, then the system will start working. If the two is not achieved, so here it's an AND gate. If the two are not achieved, the system is not going to operate. So I've just done this connection here. Then I need another switch here, but that switch is general switch. So go to general switch. So you see, we've got manually operated switch and the general switch. The general switch are operated remotely by the cams or by the pistons. Okay, so the general switches are operated remotely. So what I'm going to do is I've picked one more switch here, and I will connect that one to that. And remember, I set two conditions. So S1 and what the start button here. Let me just name this one as start button. So when I double clicked on it, now I can just type start here and say okay. Okay, so that is our start button here. Now I would just name this one as S1 here. So just double click on it, and that is going to be S1. And please click on the display. Otherwise, if you don't do this, for example, if I click OK without displaying, I wouldn't know if this is S1, and I wouldn't know which switch it is. So just display it. Okay, so click on the display. You can click on link and display, and it just does that for you. So now when I display it, it's here, and I know that switch here is S1. Okay, the next bit that we have to do quickly is to connect this one to that. So this is connected. But before that, I should have done something to show you. Let me just do this here, and then disconnect this one here, so that that will make life easy sometimes for you. So what I've done is that I've just clicked on that, and I've taken it this way all the way to this end here, and then I will just bring and connect here, so that I will be connecting these ones between them. Okay, so what I will just do is just to connect these ones between them here, and I will do this one here and that one. Now this one here, in fact this I've already picked them up, but I can delete because it's just the same thing. Let me delete, so that I'll go and bring one here. That is, this one here is relay. Okay, and if you go to relays, that is relay here. So you pick one, and I need two relays to do this job for me. One will control A and B, A plus, B plus, and then the other will control B minus, A minus. Okay, so I've got my relay. Now double click on it and identify that one as letter K, because relays are identified as K. And because I have two relays, I will make the first one as K1 and the second one as K2. Now there's something I have to do here. So I'll go and pick general switch. I have to latch this circuit, this relay one. I have to latch it, otherwise, because I want it to operate A plus B plus, if I don't latch it, it's not going to do that work for me. So I will latch it here, and then latch that one, bring that one here. So I've got this one latched here. Now the next thing that I have to do is to connect this relays to. Okay, to get the next relay also connected, and I need another switch here. But before this, I'm going to use, you know, every relay has at least 4 contacts. Sorry, a maximum of 4 contacts and at least 1 contact. So this relay has maximum of 4 contacts or 4 switches. I'm going to use one of the switch here to control this switch. Okay, so that as soon as this relay is in operation, this contact will be in operation too. So just let me identify this one as K1. So this time, because I've got K1 there, I can find it here, and then it's already linked and displayed. So the next bit is to go and do this connection here. And K2, I will use S4. Okay, I will use S4 because the whole thing is that A moves here. Okay, I want S1 to control Y1, and then S2 to control Y3. Okay, and when the piston is here, is at S2 and causes Y3 to shift so that cylinder B will move. Cylinder B will move to S4. Okay, then the button changes, and relay 2 K2 has to pick over. So I will now let S4 to switch relay 2 on. So what I'm going to do is to connect S4 to relay 2 here, straight away down here, and that one goes up here to do this connection for me. I have to also latch that one because I want relay 2 here, K2, to operate B minus and A minus. If I don't latch it, it's not going to work for me. So again, I go for general switch here, and I put it here to get it latched. And the first one here is S4, remember? So I'll just put S4 there. Let me look for S4. I'll select it, and this one here is relay. The switch of one of the switches for relay 2 will be used for this here to latch it. So let's go and get relay 2, which is K2, and I'll just say good. Now the next bit that we need to do is to get the rest connected. So I'll connect this to this side here. Now the next thing that I have to do is to get to connect them to make connections to the solenoid here. This is solenoid, and you can also get solenoid where I picked a relay. Okay, so this is solenoid. Okay, this is solenoid, but I don't really need it now because I've already picked 4 here. Now let me just identify them as Y, because I've told you earlier on that solenoids are identified as Y. So this is Y1, and that is those ones. That is this one here, Y2, and that is the one here, Okay, I will just make this one Y4 because of the way I'm doing it here. Make it Y4. And I will change this one to Y3. And I will make this one to Y1. Sorry, Y2. So there you go, we got this one. So the next bit that I need to do is to bring the switches for these relays here, K1, K2 to operate these solenoids. Okay, so the next bit that I have to go for is to go for a switch here. The switch that I need is general one, so general switch, and I'll put a switch here, and that should go straight to this. Now connect this to that, and I will name this one as K1, because K1 has to operate Y1, and that's it. The next one that I have to do, I have to go for 2 switches here, and I'll show you the reason why. Because I've said that K1 should operate Y3 as well, that is B+, okay? So one of the switches will be S2, and one should be K1 switch, which means that even though K1 will be on, unless that this cylinder sits on this or actuate this S2 before Y3 will move. So this should be, I'll put this one as I'll put our one here as S2 here, and S2 is already here, so I've selected it, and then I'll put this one as K1, and there we go. So we are left with 2 switches, so 2 solenoids to be operated by K2. So let's go and get another general switch here, put it here, and this will be operated by K2 switch, a switch from K to relay 2. So let me name this one as K2, and I will say okay, and the last one will be 2 switches as well. So I'll go and get 2 switches here, and I'll pick another switch here. The reason why I've got the 2 switches is that one will be K2 switch, and one will be what is it called? So K2 switch, and one will be S3 switch, because even though K2 will be on, unless the cam returns, unless this cylinder returns to sit on that switch here, S3, that this valve will shift, Y2 will shift to the left for this cylinder A to return. So let me do this connection here, and then do that one here. There we go. And do this here. Now do that one here. We got all the connections done. So I have to identify this as K2, and there we go. There we go. Now it's all done, but there are some problems. I didn't put those fins in there. Those fins I have to put for the security operate, I didn't put them in there, so that if I put it in, you wouldn't know what problems I'm talking about. So let's simulate and see what the problems are. Okay. A shortcut is there. So if you read it, it says that a shortcut is there, and it's because of this one here. This one, where I'm hovering the mouse. I should have taken that one off, so that is proven as a short circuit. So that's what I mean about a short circuit there. So this one, I've taken it off. Now let's do another one again. Still, there are more problems. Now you can see that A moved, B moved, A moved, B moved. But instead of K2, relay 2 taking over, it has taken over all right. But you can see that it has taken over and there is current flowing through K2. At the same time, there is also current flowing through K1. So whenever K2 takes over, K1 shouldn't operate. But you see that K1 is also in operation. So what should we do? What we can do is that we put a switch here so that anytime K2 takes over, K1 won't be in operation. So let's go back and do that correction. That correction that we will do is to put a switch of K2, one of the switches from K2, because I've told you that every relay has a maximum of 4, and we've already used 2 or 3. We used 3, 1, 2, 3. So we are left with 1. We can put that one here, but the type of switch we have to put inside the K1 circuit here should be normally closed. So I'm going to pick normally closed switch here. I'll break this circuit here because this should have connected directly, but it's not doing so for me today. So I'll just put it here and do manual connection. So I've done this manual connection, and it's not going to work until you identify this switch as K2 or you give it the proper identification. So I'm going to give it a proper identification, and that is K2. K2. Okay. Now I've got one problem solved. Let's go back again and see the next problem. Let's operate it. You see, when I operated it, it worked all right. Now let's see. It went, that came back. Okay, but if I want to continue the operation, you can see that still K2, there is power in K2, so it's not allowing K1 to work. So there's signal conflict here. K2 is still in operation. So what can we do to stop K2 from being in operation? We have to disconnect this line anytime we want this or anytime we activate the K1 circuit. So let's go back and do so. What we can do is to break this side of the circuit where I'm breaking. I've broken this side, and I'll go for normally closed one here, and I'll just connect it, and I'll connect this one here. So what I've done here is that I'm just going to identify this one. I'm using one of the switches for S1, normally closed switch, because S1 has 2 switches. One is normally open and normally closed. I'm using one here. So what I've done here is this one, S1 here. Okay. And what I mean here is that anytime cylinder 1 returns to sit on S1, then this one should open. The one in circuit K2 circuit should open. But when it moves away, then it will close. So now let's try it again. Again, now let's see what happened. So now you see it's working nicely. So this is what it is now, and oh my god, so what did I do here? There's a problem. I've done a mistake here. One's supposed to be S3, that's why there's, so I'll put S3 here. Sorry, I did that mistake. And yeah, so let's see how it's going to work now. Let's try it again. Good, it's working perfectly now. So thank you very much for watching, and keep expecting some more videos from me.